Hello everyone, I'm Debbie Polachek. I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a short little video just to compare our Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils versus our Stampin' Up! Ink pads. So we're going to compare the two. We're going to compare the two, one on watercolor paper and one on just traditional cardstock. So let's get started with that. Okay, I've got a piece of our Whisper White cardstock here, and I also got a piece of our watercolor paper. I have an old cover to one of our dies. Our old dies have a rough texture, so I like using those versus the new ones because they're pretty slick. So, other than this, I really don't know what to suggest off the top of my head. Maybe something like this. It has a little bit of a rough texture. Something that has a rough texture that will not absorb it, absorb your watercolors, is what I would suggest. So as of right now, that's what I use, this case to the old stamp. And I'm also just using Cherry Cobbler because it's a good dark color. You can see what it does right away. A lighter color would be a little bit easier to blend out, but this dark color is a little bit harder. And what I have done, I am a person that likes to do little swatches of everything that I have, and these are all the colors that Stampin' Up! Make of the watercolor pencils. These are two different sets. I'm sure these are mixed into here. Which one's which, I don't know. So, but you'll see the colors. They have the colors listed in their sets, which one is which. Today, like I said, I'm going to be using Cherry Cobbler. That's this color right here, just for the demonstration. And the Cherry Cobbler ink. Now, on our Cherry Cobbler inks, we can squeeze our pads to get color on top of our lid here. And in order to do this little sample thing, I had started off with I have one of these water aqua painters. They call it something else now on Stampin' Up! This is actually an older one, but you can get the newer ones. I think it comes 2 or 3 of them in a set. And I tried to go from darker to lighter as I went out, and this is how I'll be doing that. Okay, now we're going to try the same procedure on watercolor paper and on cardstock. And what I'll do is just pick up some, again, the same thing. I'm going to pick up the ink, and I'm going to start here at the top and try to work that color down. Nothing happens. We cannot seem to graduate that color for any length of time here on the watercolor paper, and definitely not the cardstock. As you can see, there's hardly no blend there. So with our watercolor pencils, we're going to try putting a lot of the pencil on this rough textured plastic. We're going to pick it up just like we did on the other. We're going to do it on our cardstock. Now on our cardstock, we could get a better blend than we could from this and this, and that's because ink is meant to go in the ink in the paper quick as possible. That's why it's so good for stamping. Okay, here we're going to try it again with the watercolor paper. Okay, there we go again. Now as we can see, I'm going to show this in close-up right now, that the watercolor paper leaves it a little bit sandier than the cardstock. There's not quite as a good enough blend as there is watercolor paper. So therefore, watercolor paper is better for doing our watercolor on with our pencils than it is on cardstock. But it's not awful. You know, it still can be done, but it is a little bit more. Now you can actually layer the ink by adding a little bit, letting this dry, which it dries pretty quick, and then adding more of the color to get more of an intense color. And this is called layering. So you're trying to get more of a darker, deeper shadow than you did the first time. But it's best for the either paper to work layer at a time, letting it dry in between each application. So I hope this helps you understand why you should use the Stampin' Up! Pencils rather than the ink pad on doing a blend of colors. Thank you. Bye-bye.